For many pilots, this is their first taste of a combat ship once they get bored of their Pilot Federation supplied Sidewinder. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the second generation of Eagle, brought to you by Core Dynamics and costing somewhere in the region of 44,000 credits. Eagles, as far as the bird go, are large, powerfully built birds of prey. However large this ship is not, sitting in at approximately 31 metres end to end with a 29 metre wingspan. It's very much a small ship. As for whether it's a powerful bird of prey, we'll get onto that in a little bit. Let's start with the most important bit for any new pilot. How does it look? This is a stunningly good ship. Core Dynamics seemingly modelled this on an older fighter plane or an actual bird, which makes this one of the few ships that look like they'd stand a chance at atmospheric flight, unlike our friend here in Lacon's Type 7 shaped brick. As such, it's got a sleek looking profile and has the look to go with the manoeuvrability that this ship sports. In my opinion, I find the basic green paint job it comes with uninspired and a little bit flat, but there's plenty of choice to be had if you're that way inclined towards customization. I'm rather partial to this paint job. It's vaguely reminiscent of something used in another franchise to destroy a moon-shaped super weapon. Let's call it the Elimination Moon, if you will. Definitely not a Death Star. The interior of this ship is very cramped. There's almost no room down either side of the main chair. However, unlike the Viper, the Eagle's cockpit at least looks like the materials weren't an afterthought and repurposed from the local scrapyard. Despite the small size and cramped arrangement, everything looks well put together. There's no visibility beneath the cabin, but the view out front strikes that sweet spot between having good visibility and not being too exposed to incoming fire. Something that Core Dynamics forgot when they designed the Vulture, and Lacon forgot when they designed pretty much anything. Moving on to the best thing about this ship, the Eagle's handling is absolutely sublime. It's only bettered by ship launch fighters, and it lends itself well to a bit of canyon running or looping around stations if you're into fancy flying. It's also got the same ability as the Viper 3 and Sidewinder of being able to sit right in the blind spot of a larger ship, letting you deal the damage while they fumble around trying to find out where they're getting shot from. With a little engineering, it's more than capable of the speeds needed to get out of dodge if things go south, which if you pick the wrong targets they will. They will repeatedly, because whilst agility is right in this ship's wheelhouse, the armour is paper thin, and if your opponent has a competent fighter on board, it can generally mean a pretty bad time for you. As a tip for survivability, if you see a fighter get launched, try to get rid of it before going back to your main target. The Eagle sports 3 Class 1 hardpoints, which doesn't sound like a lot in reality, and that's because it isn't. However, because this ship is so damn agile, it lends itself well to fixed weaponry like railguns, so you can still deal a respectful amount of damage to your target. Just be aware that larger armoured targets can still take some time to fall. Heat can be an issue, but with decent pit management and a well-picked loadout, you can largely mitigate this. For combat, I tried both bounty hunting and piracy and found that the former was pretty rewarding given the risks associated. I found it was lacking the internal slots needed for piracy, and I'd spent more time looking for black markets to offload my goods than I did actually harassing trade ships to give up some of that sweet cargo. Maybe though, I've just been spoiled by my python of piracy. It's okay for a taster of piracy, but really you'd be looking to move on to something a little larger for that particular lifestyle. Internal slots are lacking, with only one utility mount and a handful of small internal compartments, so again, optimization is needed when building your ship out, especially with that single utility mount. Personally, I went with a heatsink launcher to protect the ship from myself cooking it, but you'd also do well with some chaff to throw off your enemy's aim. Regardless of what you do though, it's not an expensive ship. A shade over 44,000 credits will net you the base model with an insurance premium of just under 2,500 credits, and with a little bit of modification, my one only costs 70,000 credits to rebuy. Since it's so cheap, it's excellent for practicing fixed weapon usage and different combinations, because if you screw this up, a rebuy won't break the bank. So, should you buy the Eagle? It's better than the default Sidewinder in almost every way, but if you know how to play the markets, you can jump straight into a Viper and make use of some larger hardpoints with only a small penalty to manoeuvrability. But don't write this ship off. Just as a confession, I bought this Eagle shortly after making a few credits in my starting Sidewinder years ago. Shortly after that, I bought my first Viper, and aside from using my Eagle as a shuttle to pick up my larger ships, it's mostly been sat in the back of the hangar collecting dust. To get the footage I needed for this video, I brought it out, slapped a few upgrades onto it and hoped for the best. And if you want me to be brutally honest, I'm glad I did. That feeling that you get when you thread the needle between two space rocks whilst chasing down that pirate that doesn't know when to quit is uplifting as hell. Plus the sense of accomplishment you get from making an Anaconda flee because of how much damage you've inflicted on it during a long protracted battle makes it all the more worthwhile. Yeah, okay, it's rubbish at trading and it's rubbish at mining, but there's all-purpose ships and dedicated ships for that sort of thing. That's not what the Eagle is about, and if you put your mind to it, you can build a decent combat ship for not a lot of credits. This isn't just a fighter, this is fighter plus. Back to the question of whether you should buy it. If you're starting out and you're combat focused, it's well worth it. It'll get destroyed a few times, but you get used to it. Always have enough money in your bank for a rebuy, and if worse comes to it, you can strip it, sell it, and then go buy something a little bit bigger. If you see yourself as a space trucker, save a little bit more and get something with more cargo options. That's something though for another review a little bit later down the line. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on the Eagle, and if you'd like to comment and subscribe, it would help the channel greatly. Aside from that, enjoy the rest of your day and I'll catch you on the next video. 07 to 1 and all. Thank you.